On a sunny autumn day, I decided to compare the iPhone 16 and the S24 Snapdragon in the day in the life scenario. I will test the cameras of both phones, check their battery life in a realistic, real-life format in a beautiful city of Vienna, and share some tips and tricks to help you get more out of your phone. If you are feeling a bit of a deja vu, it's because I previously did this test with the S24 Exynos, the global version of the phone. This time, I'm using the Snapdragon version of Canadian S24, and I also updated the iPhone to the new iOS release of 18.01, which seemingly improved the battery life by fixing some bugs. As always, I started both phones 100% and started the day around 10 AM by playing YouTube videos. Both phones are connected to the same Wi-Fi network when indoors, and during the test are on auto brightness. Both phones are similar, but the iPhone is a bit larger. Also, you can see the iPhone on the right side of the screen, and what differentiated it easily is the dynamic island versus the notch on top of the Galaxy S24. I don't see any quality difference between the screens, but Apple is doing a better job if you run HDR content like I do here. You also noticed this and informed me in the comments section of my last video. There is not a crazy amount of HDR content, but most videos you take with your iPhone are HDR, so Apple is working on better implementation it on their phones. On the other hand, what annoys me about the iPhone 16 is the amount of wobbling when you leave it on the desk. Also, the phone is noticeably heavier than the Galaxy S24. However, the back colors are nicer in my opinion. I continue to play some YouTube shorts in the background for some time. Since both are connected to Wi-Fi, not much power is being used. Then, I decided to take a 10-minute video of my balcony. The reason is that I wanted to use Adobe Rush to export the video to check which one can do it faster. The S24 with a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 or iPhone 16 with A18. To my surprise, Adobe Rush did not let me import the video from my iPhone, and I got a media import error. I also tried to turn off the HDR, but got the same error. So this test could not finish. Before heading out, I decided to take some macro photos. You can take macro photos and videos by getting close to the subject. Also, Apple has this new wide lens that is improved over the iPhone 15 and does better macro. Here I use the main lens on both phones to shoot a slow motion video of this Persian silk tree. The difference is that the Apple green is deeper, while the S24 colors are more vibrant and the green is brighter. The real difference comes when taking photos. There is a big difference between these two phones regarding macro shots. S24 adds a blur effect which can look very nice and preferable compared to Apple's look. It creates a more dramatic bokeh or shallow depths resembling a more expensive camera lens. On the other hand, since it does it a bit aggressively, if you want multiple objects to be in focus, the one from the iPhone will end up with more details than the Galaxy, which you can see here. So it depends on your taste which photo you prefer. Also, talking about the slow motion, the Galaxy S24 can do 4K 120 frames per second, while the iPhone can only do up to HD. Here I'm taking a video in HD and 240 frames per second. I noticed the Galaxy does a better job finding the bee and focusing on it than the iPhone. The quality is comparable and you can take fun shots using the slow motion option on both phones. I head out of the house and now the iPhone 16 has 87% battery and the Galaxy has 83%. Both of them are connected to the same 5G network when I'm outdoors. Also took some quick snaps of this lamp. You don't notice that much difference on the ultrawide camera, even on color science. I can say the same about the main lens, which created similar looks for both. Things have started to change slightly regarding telephoto zoom, since the iPhone does not have a telephoto lens. Also, the iPhone does not support zoom more than 10 times, but the Galaxy can go further, which I enjoy. We'll talk about that later. I'm going to the city center by bike and will navigate using Google Maps. As you can see, both phones are bright enough in the direct sunlight. Let's also check the sound quality and the selfie camera in a cinematic mode. Now I'm checking the selfie camera. The left side is the Galaxy and the right side is iPhone. We reached 20,000 subscribers. Just a few months ago when we started the channel in January, we're just 220k in just 8 months. Thank you all for subscribing, for liking the videos, for following the channel. Also, let me know down in the comment section what kind of content you want to see more. The iPhone handles the flare slightly better in the selfie camera, and this shot has also less light leakage. Then I put both phones on the bikes and got ready to go. On my way to the center, I passed across this beautiful tree. I did expect the iPhone to be more contrasty and the Galaxy to be more vibrant, but surprisingly, both phones created very similar videos. My eyes are now trained and I can immediately see which one is shot on the iPhone and which one on the Galaxy, but I doubt it's clear to everyone. The iPhone and S24 Snapdragon color science is closer than the iPhone and S24 Exynos. Even though the iPhone Pro gives many interesting video options including lock, the Galaxy S24 is more feature-rich than the iPhone 16 base model. For example, you can use Video Pro mode to manually zoom in and out of the subject. The things in focus will turn green, and you can use the slider to change the focus point. Sometimes this technique creates some cool shots, and you can see the result here. When I got to the cafe, they had a similar battery percentage, 68 for the iPhone and 67 for the Galaxy. Here is a nice photo of the coffee. As you may have noticed, the Galaxy blurred the croissant, but the iPhone didn't. Here is a portrait photo of myself using portrait mode and zooming twice. Galaxy did a much better job. iPhone also didn't handle the flare well and created this green dot on the bottom of the screen, which I noticed way too often. After the coffee, I went outside to take more photos and videos of Vienna. I divide them into ultrawide, wide, and zoom photos. There is not much to talk about on the ultrawide lens. Both of them created equally pleasing photos and videos. I usually use this lens in cities to show the architecture better. The only difference is the colors and the fact that iPhone ultrawide is slightly wider than Samsung One, but nothing is noticeable. Also regarding stabilization, both of them are doing great. Ultrawide lenses are better for taking videos if you want a better stabilization, because the view is so wide that you won't notice shakes as much as a normal lens. But they both do a great job stabilizing the image on a normal lens. That said, I noticed that the iPhone did a slightly better here, and the Galaxy had some visible light shifts, usually due to changing shutter speed. The colors on iPhone 16 and Galaxy S24 are also slightly different, but to my surprise, the colors are closer than I expected. Before taking telephoto videos and photos, I ran Komoot in the background to track my bike activity and use more GPS data. Currently, the iPhone's battery is 60%, while the S24's is 61%. As I mentioned, the iPhone does not have a telephoto lens, but the Galaxy does, and that makes a difference if you zoom more than 3 times into a subject. For example, you can probably see the text on the Galaxy on the left side, which is more clear and cleaner to look at and read. Also a fun fact, this is a Gemeinde in Vienna, which is a social housing, but as you can see, it looks rather nice, which is one of the reasons renting is more affordable in Vienna compared to other capitals in Europe. When taking pictures and zooming into subjects, S24 does a much better job of capturing the details. The iPhone is decent, considering it combines computational photography with the main lens to create these images, but still, nothing can beat the optics of a proper telephoto lens. I hope the S25 puts even a better telephoto lens next year. Let me know in the comments which lens you use the most. Here I messed up and held the iPhone on the left, but now the iPhone's battery is at 51%, while the Galaxy S24's battery is at 53%. iPhone did add a few features to change the tone and mood of the image before or after taking it. At first, I did not think of it too much since there are already lots of good filters in Lightroom, but frankly, I should admit, I like some profiles like amber and dramatic more than I like to admit. To be fair to Galaxy, there are also filters, but I prefer the ones on iPhone, which gives you more control. For example, I took a photo with a standard mode on both phones. Here I tried to find the most suitable filter for each of them and applied it before taking the picture. The one on the iPhone is called Dramatic, and the one on the Galaxy is called Kiss Me. I then decided to do something funky and take a panorama picture, which is so 2008. The picture on the Galaxy looks very neutral and pleasing to look at, but also a bit brighter with lifted shadows. The one on the iPhone has a more yellow and gold tone, a bit more vibrant, but darker with more contrast. It was getting dark and I captured this beautiful scenery using my iPhone 16. The colors are very pleasing, and the HDR effect on the video captures the river and the sky in the background with accurate but vivid colors. I also snapped some pictures using the iPhone 16 and Galaxy S24. And as you can see again, I cannot differentiate between them as much as I could between Pixel and iPhone, for example. Maybe the only thing that caught my eye was the moon was a yellower on the iPhone compared to the Galaxy, which is computational photography. Phones detect objects like the sky and moon and apply certain things to them. The iPhone here is probably increasing highlights on the moon and making it more saturated. I put the phones back on the bike and turned on Google Maps. The battery on the iPhone 16 is 40%, while the battery on the S24 is 42%. When I got home, the iPhone 16 had 28% juice left, while the S24 had 30%. Then, as you requested, I decided to play PubG Mobile to test the gaming performance on both phones. On both of them, I put the setting to max. Both phones are now connected to my home Wi-Fi network, I did not feel any frame drop on both phones, but that is to be expected. I noticed the S24 is getting warmer, especially on the top center. After measuring the temperature, my sensation was confirmed, and the S24 is 2 to 3 degrees hotter than the iPhone. I continue to play the game. It is worth noting that the iPhone has a 60Hz display, which could be why it is running cooler. On the other hand, the S24 also has a LTPO display. The iPhone 16 has better thermals than any compact phone I had for real tests like taking videos outside, playing games, and doing daily tasks. By the end of the test, the iPhone 16 was much cooler, and the temperature that I read was 4 degrees lower than that of the S24 Snapdragon. That's not great news for Samsung fans, but also it has more to do with the chipset than Samsung itself. By the end of the test, the iPhone had caught with Galaxy, and both were now 22%. Galaxy simply burned more power in this part of the test. I then left the phones for a bit before announcing the final result. By the end of the day, we had a tie. Both phones had 20% battery left. Also, we can check the screen on time, which is around 4 hours and 30 minutes. The camera used the most battery, followed by YouTube and PubG. Then, just for the sake of it, I decided to do a standby test. I left both phones connected to 5G at night. And when I woke up, iPhone 16 had 9% battery left, while S24 had 12% battery left. Then I took a video for around 10 minutes to drain batteries further. And by the end of the test, the S24 left with 7%, while the iPhone 16 only had 2% battery left. And that's the final result. I intentionally didn't run them to zero since that harms battery health. Galaxy has a higher battery capacity, and the result was to be expected. We should consider two facts. Galaxy is being released in January and is one generation behind since the new Snapdragon is just right in the corner. Also, the battery life probably degraded a few percent over this period, even though I did not use the phone daily and there are less than 20 charging cycles on it. Some may want to know how the S24 Exynos compares to iPhone 16. You can check the video I made comparing those phones in a day in the life scenario, or watch the full camera comparison of S24 versus iPhone 16 versus Pixel 9 next. Thanks for tuning into TechMo, and I will see you in the next one.